All right. I'm Ravalox, aka
We
Steven
just went
Mining.
offline. Nope.
All right. What?
Now you're
Nope.
back.
Nope. All right.
That? Oh, it switched to a commercial for me. Never mind.
Oh, did it?
Sorry.
Okay. So, I'm currently the acting operations manager, community manager, and sometimes actual creative dev for the game, and trying to balance a bunch of different hats at once. But anyway, most people know me as Ravalox, and that's all I have to say about that. I take on too much stuff, and I'm trying to sort through everything as is an example today. But we'll get there eventually. So, okay,
Excellent.
Allium,
Vesper.
you want to go next, or Vesper?
Okay. My dev account is Allium. Most people know me as Alley-oop, because that's an older player account. I handle the bug forum and the patch notes, and I have just started to get into actual development work. I have fixed typos and some crafting categorization problems.
I'm Vesper. That's it.
Oh, Vesper, you're really low.
But we did get that you're Vesper, and that's it. And all right, well, in which case I'll jump in after you, Vesper, and say hello, everybody. I'm Richard Gary, Lord British, and I would like to, as I have often done when I come back, is to first say thank you to everybody in here that's playing. As Keith sort of alluded to, not only is this an online MMO style game, but it's also one made by you, the community of players. And when I say made by, I mean that in all different senses of the term. Not only did we crowdfund most of the money that was used to create the game itself, but in fact, a lot of people within the community made music for the game, made art for the game, added all kinds of creative content in the game. And as it has already been mentioned, we're here in Castle Atos right now. I'm up there dancing on the top dais. But one of the things I always do when I get in is I tell people to friend me, because that way they'll always know when I go in and out of the game. And if they see me pop in, I like to go and party with people, to run around and see what people are doing inside the game itself too. So if you haven't /friended me, do a /friend Lord British, and you'll get to me. And the people that I am accepting their friendship, who since I last logged in had requested that I join their friend, are people like Arcus Blackwing and Buzzard Bait and Caballero Negro and El Sordo and Falcon Minamoto and Nora Minamoto, Isabel Ayan, Katie Emagon. Katie, thank you. Good to know you. Kanichigo Klein, Laffy Giggle, Malcolm Brickhouse, Rowena Stinging Bird, Rubmore Rumber, Kakar Blowiski, TNG, Xanthosud, Vespers, and Zylu Galadum, and Alex Alec Sander. Thanks to all of you for not only playing the game, but now being my friend, and see most of you are actually in the game right now. I can see there's a good 50 to 100 people in here with us, and great to have you all here. Great to be here with you. And again, thank you so much for playing with us here in this place that we have created together.
Richard, gotta jump in for a second. I forgot to mention before you get into like a story or something. So we will at least once today, probably several times, we will have what we call the prizing, which is we like to give away stuff to players. And the way you can have your name entered into the prizing, it's a random drawing, is you can say in any in-game chat, not the Twitch chat, but the in-game chat, if you say these words, "Happy birthday, Lord British," then you will get added into the random list that we'll pull from later.
And I will also give you my thanks for wishing me a happy birthday. That would be very kind of you. And but I saw some people putting it over in the Twitch stream. It has to be in game, and British is with one T. I saw somebody spell it with two T's a little earlier.
Yep.
And thank you for the translation, Gia.
Hey, Mr. Lord British, sir.
Indeed.
Look at your chat window. Look at your chat window in game.
My chat window in game. Press.
And then there's the command. Sorry, a little in the wings stuff.
yes. No, but let's see. I can't copy paste that over though. So
I could do, what is it, guys, /copy space 1 for copying one line?
Copy 1 will get the last line on the screen.
Ah,
If there's
yeah,
a
all right,
lot
so
of scroll, you might want to just do
Okay.
copy and then put it in Notepad so you can grab the one you want.
yeah.
hang on. Let's see if I can do that.
And in worst case, if you want, I'll come over into the other room.
You might need to come over and do it since we're in the same building and it's
Okay.
scrolling by quick enough for me to try to keep up with. But
Okay.
But yes, we have what he is noting is we have gifts for everybody here today too. So
Yes. In addition to the prizing.
in addition to the prizing, we'll take care of that in a little bit.
Yep.
But Ravlox, back to you. What is our order of our agenda?
Okay, so first thing that's up is our normal review of our release, and just talk about what we got has come into the game, and so what is coming into the game. So obviously, this month we've been advertising the Lord British Bash and everything that we are now in, and it's been a heck of a juggle to get everything in line and done. Now, just to go over it, this was another polished release. So next month, release 116 is our official content release. Even though we tend to put out some new content throughout the 90-day period, we try to concentrate the major updates once every 90 days to give us enough time to make sure all the bugs are worked out and all that good stuff. So next release cycle, there's going to be some good stuff in there. This release cycle, we definitely got in some maps done. So I believe, I know these by the region numbers. What was Alium is the best. She's like the encyclopedia here. What was the region?
The ones you completed were in South Palatus.
There we are. Okay, yeah. So South Palatus is done now. And what I've been doing, this is for everybody, of course, but also Richard would know, that before I was trying to update the maps based on utilization, which was too much of a splatter gun. It just didn't work. So I started to go region by region, and I started with Region 1, which is Perennial Coast. And I'm trying to complete all the maps for the main storyline. So did the Love branch, the Truth branch, and this next month is going to be the Courage branch, which is going to be around Resolute, in what I lovingly call the Caldera, the middle of the map, just west of the large volcano on the overworld. So all that area is going to be done as well. So that'll take care of people who are trying to complete the main quest lines, things like that. And before anybody asks, yes, this is true that we still aren't doing maps for underworld areas. It would kind of be cheating. So just look at a map and then go find your way around the maze. But we are hoping at some point to get in technology that will allow us to do Fog of War. So once we...
War, that would be great. But for now, we decided a long time ago that the underground scenes, dungeons or the special, you have to go through a scene to get to a scene situations, they were more mysterious than the other ones, and we wanted you to have a little bit of an extra difficulty challenge.
Exactly, right. And, pen and paper works to map. So, hey, it's just like an old Ultima game. Big shock. So that's where we are with that. And so we got actually, this was technically 10, but there was a map that I had to touch, so it was like 11 maps that I got into the game or updated in the game total this cycle. Next cycle, if everything goes well, I'll be able to get I think there's a half dozen maps or so in the, let's say the Resolute area to get done. And then from there, I'll keep going onto the northern region, I think, is next after that, more towards Norgard, north and west, that type of thing.
Verdantis.
Yeah. Exactly. Right. Yeah, Verdantis. That's right. In fact, I have that in the notes that Verdantis would be next after Resolute. So, yeah, that would be the area. So let's see. Without instead of me just rambling on about stuff, is there anything, Keith, that you would put into the game this cycle that you'd like to highlight?
I've been spending a lot of time working on my new map. I did a lot of bug fixes besides that, little small things. I don't really remember. It's been a long month, but
It was. That was a
say,
long cycle. Yeah.
I kind of gave a little reveal in Discord about what I'm working on next, and so I'll sort of just give you like the little one paragraph pitch about what the next map that I'm working on is. So it's what we call a nested map, like these dungeons. A dungeon is nested within a main scene. You have to go through the main scene to get to the dungeon. So this will be an underground map underneath Port Harmony. It's called Port Harmony Cistern. It won't be too complicated of a map. You know, I keep doing like these big maps. Vicklin is huge. Port Harmony ended up being bigger than I expected it to be. So now I need a little bit of a small, quicker palette cleanser kind of thing, and that's going to be the Port Harmony Cistern. Don't be confused by the word cistern. You know, it's not like Kiln Cistern, which has a great puzzle situation. There will be a little bit of a puzzle situation in Port Harmony Cistern. It's a different kind of puzzle. It is water related. There will be bad guys there. There will be initial quests in there. It'll be repeatable. You probably, I think, one person or a small group of people might be fine doing it. It won't be too high of a tier. And you know, hopefully people like it enough that they want to keep coming back every once in a while, not just do it just the once.
Gotcha.
So there you go.
You also, yep, and you also did a whole bunch of updates on the keys, right?
Oh yeah, so we have a lot of stuff in the game, a lot of items in the game still that you can't be deleted and don't automatically get taken from you at the end of a quest or through using that item on a lock or a magic door or whatever. Some of that stuff was originally intended to be that you could keep it so it could be a decoration, but probably the better situation is to allow you to sort of get rid of it whenever you want. And if you get a decoration version, we do like a secret swap to give you a decoration version and take away the one that maybe you aren't ever supposed to delete in the middle of a quest because you have to have it, and maybe it's a one of a kind. So I did a big pass on keys because those are maybe some of the biggest offenders of that kind of thing, or I thought they might be. Turns out a lot of them are pretty good. Some of them couldn't be destroyed, and they were in that situation where you were stuck with this item in your inventory. So there were a few of them I changed it that you can destroy it whenever you want, and if you're on the quest where you need it, you can probably go back to the source. Or if you're doing a puzzle where you need it, you can go back to the source, the original place where you got it, and probably get a replacement. And what I also did was, if you had to earn a key, so keys normally, if you don't want it, you can sell it to a merchant, an NPC merchant, but you don't get anything for it. It was worth 0 gold. So if you were allowed to sell it, you get nothing for it. So what I did was, if you had to earn that key, such as you had to kill somebody to get it, and that key wasn't related to like a quest or something, it was just sort of a an in the world key, like you might sort of kill a guard and you're allowed to like open a locked chest or door or something in the area, say like it's a prison cell or just a workshop or whatever. It wasn't critical to any quest. Then you can now sell that key for 1 gold. You might be collecting a stack of like 5 or 10 or 50 or whatever. You can now sell each one of those for 1 gold. If the key didn't allow you to stack it, so you can only have one of those keys at a time and it still fit the same requirements, I just made it worth 2 gold. So it's not huge change, but it's a little nice quality of life kind of change, I feel. And over time, I've been doing similar things to other objects in the game randomly, usually quest items, and I'll continue to do that. But I got a big bug up I got about all the keys, and we have like 140 of them, and more coming because there'll be more port system. But now I have like a good, healthy set of rules to apply to keys and how we use them and how you can get rid of them if you don't want them. Or there were even a couple that were like the decorations were kind of broken, so you really couldn't set them up right as your house decorations. And now those fixed too. So there you go.
Exactly.
Keys updated.
Excellent. Okay, so the next thing on the list here as well would be the sound preview button for wax cylinders in the Crown Store, which of course could apply to other audio related stuff. Devil Colt did a great job of doing that, and he did it really quickly too. I thought that we would have to take a deeper look at that, and you just basically, I'll do that, bang, no problem, got right in there. And that's actually a really good quality of life thing, because basically if you bought if you're going to buy something out of the Crown Store that was audio related, you had no way of finding out what it was. The preview just showed you the cylinder itself. And
this was a wish list request.
There you go. Do we know who did the wish list? Who was the actual requester?
I believe it was Isabel Ian, but I'm only mostly sure of that.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that actually sounds familiar. One of the things I wanted to start doing, which I think we might have gotten one or two in there, is when it is the result of a wish list, we should, if we can, remember to put the name of the player who actually made the request into the patch notes.
Good idea.
Yeah. So and that's it's another little item. What it needs to be done is it needs to be put into the CL because that's where the patch notes come from. So it's a little bit more of a process. You have to think about it. In addition, another item that was actually kind of huge to get done, but not an incredible effort, a lot of testing to make sure it was going to work right and wasn't going to cause problems. Players have been requesting, yet I say demanding that we increase the character limit on the conversationalist. So the whole story is that it's a two-part effort. I updated the character limit on the Crown Store conversationalist to 60,000 characters from 20,000. And we threw that on QA and tested it, and I threw up a test script, which was actually a melding of a couple of players' scripts to one was kind of a lore-centric story thing where you could talk to a conversationalist and tell you all about the history of New Britannia and stuff like that. And the other one was a tarot card reader. So those two combined brought me to 59,800 characters. So that was excellent. Got it in there, got it all to work together, and had players go in there with a testing directive, and they all reported the same thing, that the script took less than a second to load. Or maybe a second and a half on some slower connections or lower machines. The script is loaded at the time when you access the conversationalist. So my concern was making sure that there wasn't enough lag in loading the script that where it appears that it might have been a bug, right? So in this case, it works fine. Uploading the script may take a little bit longer, but not as concerned about that on the back end. There is one bug that's related to this that actually, Devil Colt, if you're listening, then we need to actually bump that up a little bit to basically turn off the functionality where the script is actually kind of being displayed in a window. It's not an editor, so it's not really worth showing, the first some odd number of characters of your script in there. Basically, actually, I think I have a Jira open for this, so we'll discuss it offline. But basically, what happens now with the 60,000 character version is that the buffer on the screen load, on the script load, overlaps itself. So you get this weird double text artifact on the screen. So we still have to fix that, but that's not operational. It's just a visual artifact, as I said. So with that, the second part of this effort was to complete an audit and make sure that everything that was supposed to be a conversationalist was actually set as a conversationalist, and that only the craftable ones are set for the 2,000 character limit. So the craftable ones are meant to be for basic scripts and an introduction into using conversationalists. So the ones that are in the Crown Store, 60,000 characters, should absolutely be the top end that we're aiming for long term to allow the using of variables and remembering the character's name and things along those lines. Obviously there's still possibilities of expansions down the road. It would be nice if, in my opinion, if the conversationalists were able to actually give out a reward for completing a quest. So we do have those types of tags. So there's still some possibility for expansion of that mechanic in the future. But as it is now, that's where we are with the conversationalists. Have at it. Start populating some bigger stories. This way you don't have to daisy chain some conversationalists together. 60,000 characters definitely should be enough to accomplish like one leg of a quest and then send them off to someplace else. So, okay. I'm just scrolling down the notes here to see if there's anything else that we could pull out.
I did, adding on to my fixing of objects thing. One thing I did was some players do sieges a lot, and they collect a lot of arcane catalysts, and they're not. I guess some of these players aren't able to turn in the catalyst fast enough. So there's sort of a special option for the arcane catalyst quest, which is if the character that you're turning into detects that you actually have double the amount that you need, they'll actually take 36 of those catalysts and give you a double quest reward. So that way, hopefully, it'll catch up a little bit.
Cool. All right. I'm getting ready.
And then you're going back to 18.
I'm sorry, Keith. What was that?
It's just now it's sort of like two levels of the quest. If you don't have 36, then they will just expect you to turn in 18 of the arcane catalysts like normal.
Okay. I'm going ahead and I'm getting ready to run the first round of prizings.
Prizening!
Balloon, you can still hand in 18. You just have the choice of doing 36 if you have them.
That. We're going to run at least 2 prizings an hour. We suspect the stream is going to last for some time, so there's definitely going to be opportunities for extra prizings here. And of course, the usual goes, if there's hype trains completed, each hype train level adds on another prizing. And if there's any other determinations, then we'll add on some more as well. All right. Okay, good. All right. So obviously the patch notes were chock full of other fixes as well. I think those are some good highlights that we covered there. We could go to a point here where if anybody has any additional questions on something that we've done in this release, go ahead and ask. I know we had a few Ask-A-Devs this morning, and some of them I definitely wanted to address. Just checking my... This is a lot easier with 4 monitors.
Yeah, funny how that works.
Okay, we got the initial prizings run. All right, so anybody who does the prizing phrase, Happy Birthday Lord British, from here forward will be entering in for the next run of the prizing. This. Now,
and while you're doing that, I'm going to say thank you for people friending me. Chairpree, thank you so much for your friendship and follow. Deantera Tuero. Deantera Tuero. Thank you for being my friend. And Stringfellow Hawk, thank you as well. Nice to have all of you on my friends list. Thank you so kindly. Anybody that's not yet a friend, do type /friend Lord British, and I will happily mutually keep track of each other as well.
Awesome. I have a few requests up there too. Obviously, if I go and look at those, then we'll lose the cameras. Let me see now. What was I doing? Okay, so all right, so we have the prizings coming up, and we'll be able to read those off. And actually, while we read those off, if I could get two people other than myself to do the prizings, then I will pop over into the other room and assist Lord British with
I've already got it. I got it.
Oh, you
I
did?
Took care of it.
Oh.
I got it.
Well, there you go. That's why you're Lord British.
And that's you guys. You're. I didn't know how long your update would take, but you spoke long enough for me to figure it out. So
Excellent.
I have gifts for everybody here too.
Okay, good. All right.
Indeed.
And those will be handed out throughout, obviously.
Would you like
Yes.
me to,
Well, in fact, let me tell. Can I talk about it right now?
Sure, go for it.
Oh, so hey everybody. I come bearing gifts for all of you as well. We specifically made a unique item, a Lord British 62 shield. This is my 60-second orbit of the sun. And so all you need to do it at your leisure. We're going to be here. There's no need to rush. But if you come and just do a trade with me, I will hand you one of these completely custom Lord British 62 shields that we have made for you this evening. There we go.
Yeah.
And it has begun. Very good.
So as a reminder, Lord British is in Castle Atos in Novia right now. So if you go, once you enter through the main gate, go back towards the throne room area. You'll see like a bunch of people around, and that's where he is. In the middle of the crowd.
Right on top here with the carpet. And obviously I'm not going to be easily keeping track of whether I've given you one already or not. So please, after you have received your cloak, let somebody else get a chance, please.
Yeah, please don't abuse that. We might check the logs.
Yeah, the honesty virtue is celebrated.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I'm looking for a channel I can't find. Why? Oh, there it is. Okay, good.
All right, nice radio sounds we got going there, guys.
Well, it's
Okay,
so
so
going on in the game. So here, somebody else has the floor.
Actually, I'll say
interesting to
this.
you all embracing chaos and not forming a line.
Yes, that's a good point.
it's
Hopefully
like
it doesn't give me a problem. But if someone's like stuck far away and they want to sort of try to get here, if they're having trouble getting here or figuring out where it is, you can message me in the game, whisper to me in the game, Sanio, which is Sannio, and then I'll try to summon you to the area. Might backfire on me because there's a ton of people here, so be prepared to lag a little bit.
yeah.
And
Okay,
I
so-
see someone asking if Atos is still alive, and I believe some of you had lunch with him today.
Yes, we did.
Yeah,
Yes, yeah.
I can confirm it. I not
Yes.
only speak with him fairly regularly, but I actually saw him face to face today. So
Yep.
it is true. He is still alive and kicking, and wish he could be with us. He was with us at our team lunch. He had something take over this hour slot, so he couldn't be with us. But otherwise, normally he would be, of course.
Yeah, he has back-to-back, overbooked, double booked, it's all sorts of stuff. In fact, because it was an opportunity to actually prevent him from leaving after Lord British left and started heading over to where we are now, and I was supposed to follow. I ended up staying for another 45 minutes at the restaurant, and we kind of had a big continuation of back and forth about a bunch of stuff. A lot of ideas being thrown around and status updates, stuff like that. So, okay. So while we are doing all this, I got two things here on the pile to do. One is the the prizing to read that off. So since I don't have to go help Richard with anything, then I could be one of the people reading off of things. So anybody else want to volunteer for whatever I'm not going to read?
Sure.
Okay, cool. All right, so then I will read off the player names, and if you want to read off the prizes.
Okay. The first prize on the list is a Lord British round shield.
And that goes to Seal Astra and Aurelius Silverson.
Oh, a lot of colors there. A Lord British medium telescope.
Fred Flintstone and
Fred.
Boss, B-O-S.
A Lord British throne.
Dash Banjo and Gravity. Hey, Gravity.
Huzzah, banjo. Huzzah, gravity.
A Lord British moon dial.
That'll go to Janie Murphy and Temujin.
And a 2014 Lord British birthday cake.
Oh boy, this is Fietna Chompers and Elena Stormborn. Congratulations to everybody on the first round of prizings for today's Lord British Fiesta. Okay. And then the next thing I had on here is some Ask-A-Devs, as I mentioned before. There were a few Ask-A-Devs I think we could address here. Going back. So some of these are recent. They're not from today, but there are a few that are from today that we'll talk about. One question that has actually I think come up a number of times is can we have a lava fishing town template for POTs? And the answer to that is that we have a JIRA for it. Looking for an underground, that's for an underground variant that would have lava fishing in it. So
we have a JIRA, so it should be true eventually.
Exactly. Let's JIRA that.
I've definitely been taking care of JIRAs that are quite old. So
Yep.
because it's an old JIRA, it doesn't necessarily mean we won't do it. We don't necessarily just sort of put it in the basement and forget about it.
Right. Yeah, I think that one of the JIRAs recently taken care of started with a 1. Like 16,000 or something. Right?
Deuterum, do accept the trade. I've given you a shield. You have to accept it.
We have grabbed a very old JIRA to add some content to the game for next month as well, too. And it's a Lord British one.
Oh, there you go.
I'd like to ask the players who are crafting
Thank you
Lord British but already have their item, please move off the steps area to give them a little space, let everyone get to see our monarch. We probably should have had people get in a line.
Yeah.
Or would have made it easy on Richard. We'll have to remember
Have
that.
Lord British
right.
stand on
That's
a
right.
flight of stairs or something. Okay, so here's another one. I'm going to channel Dark Star right now, and the Ask-A-Dev is has Unity. Yeah, of course we have Unity. That's what the game's built on. Thank you. Okay.
That one.
All right. Let's see. Actually, Z asks with trolls, liches, etc., and totems, why is the spider the only one that I know of that goes to T4 when we have T20 spiders in the game? Yeah, that's actually this. When I made the spider rooms, that was kind of my first effort on that. So they probably could stand to get an upgrade on that. But I also am actually looking into reworking the mechanic of how the player dungeon rooms work completely. So I'm looking to basically eliminate the totems. I don't like the way the totems work in the game. I'd rather have an out of game, UI element for that instead. And with that, hopefully, if this all works out, would change the way we are able to put spawners into the rooms. Before anybody gets too excited, no, it wouldn't be kind of like you'd be able to select your spawners and place them wherever you want. we have certain limitations on that. But I would be able to, in theory, pre-populate a whole bunch of different stuff, so you'd have more choices for a room. So more on that probably in 2024. It's getting late in the year for me to even get into that now. But try to get that specifically on the roadmap for next year. That'll be something that Devil Cult and I'll probably be tied to the hip for a while. I have to write up all the specs on it, and then he's going to have to be the one to figure out how to make it all work. So,
all right. Well,
sorry.
I don't know. I was going to say I've given out a good number. The frequency of trade has dropped off. So I'm going to say a welcome and happy friendship to Alina Stormborn, Submarine Mike, and Trini Lopez. Thanks to the three of you thanks for being a friend. And here we go over to Spellfire Blood Moon. Here is your Lord British shield, Lord British 62 shield.
Awesome.
And I'm going to answer another Ask a Dev.
Dokie.
Zealot, last May, said, can we have a crafting table that randomly takes things out of your inventory and crafts a random recipe? And I'm going to say, if we were to build such a table, the required tool for that table would be a chaos spoon. So if you have a chaos spoon, we might consider building the table for you.
Very nice.
How many of those are in the whole game? Those have to be pretty rare, I'm assuming.
I believe the initial number made was 16, and I don't know if all of those were distributed.
Yeah, I could run a report on that. Even while I could run a report. Yeah, I could technically run if I run the report, though, while I'm doing this, it's like I'd lose cameras. But the bottom line there is that I believe there's about 5 or 6 actually distributed
in the game,
and that would be accurate. That the initial 16 were given to one person to be distributed from there. But that's actually I do like that aspect that a chaos spoon would be the the tool of choice. Okay, let's see if we have anything else that's interesting.
That was young Prince Ronan. You might have seen come by my screen here. Coming up to say hello.
We're getting close to being able to. Well, actually, I shouldn't be being able to, but we should probably just go ahead and we could transition over to some stories that I believe you have for us of recent events.
I do have stories, although I'm still a little
handing
busy
out stuff.
Handing stuff. But let me welcome my friends Agent Chronicles and Eldane Elvenstone as well. So hello and thank you to you two. I think I can double task a little bit here.
Okay. And if it is too much, I definitely have more Ask-A-Devs and stuff that we could go through.
Well, do a couple more Ask-A-Devs just to let me get through handing out the high frequency, at least, of handing out shields.
Sure. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. Well,
do Ask-A-Dev, by the way.
I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. So if you want to do an Ask-A-Dev in Universal Chat, and it has to be in Universal Chat because we want everybody to be able to see the question being asked, because other people may actually know the answer already, which is helpful because then we don't have to go and look at it. But this way, everybody gets to be in on what's being asked, and then we'll get when you do an Ask-A-Dev, it's sent over into our internal team chat. And then trust me, there are active conversations. In fact, when we say we're going to go find an Ask-A-Dev that maybe we can answer on stream, we have to kind of dig through some of the conversations back and forth that are going on internally, discussing the Ask-A-Devs that are going on. So they don't just go into a black hole. So if you want to actually do that, go into Universal Chat and type in Ask-A-Dev, all one word, ASKADEV, space, and then whatever it is that you want to ask, and that will then be sent over to the team. And
I love those glowing blue eyeballs some of you are carrying with you. Those are very nice. I like those.
Frost Giant.
Gotcha.
Something else with Ask-A-Dev, you don't need to keep posting Ask-A-Dev. It gets saved in our in our big list of Ask a Dev questions. So.
Right. And though we haven't been great about it, we did create in the announcement section of the forums, we did create a thread. I think it was a thread for Ask a Dev answers, and what we had pledged was that we were going to try to put some of the answers up there. Kind of like the way Darkstar would actually post the answers to questions that were asked on telethons way back in the day. Of course, that takes a heck of a lot of time to process and document. But and we started, and of course, haven't had a lot of time to do it. But definitely want to go back and, especially the ones that are asked cyclically, I'll say. They posting those up in the forums would probably be helpful, so that way people know that it's been asked and answered.
A lot of them are a little bit game balance.
Thank you, Sumo.
Maybe they're you ask, but maybe they're really more suggestions that might be good in the forums. You could post it like in the forums, in the forums,
exactly.
As suggestion, as feedback.
And that is a good point. That Ask a Devs, what we found, we have three different main types of questions that'll be asked. A lot of the stuff that's sent up to the Ask a Dev is really wish list material. So we do have a section of the forums that's dedicated to wish list items. So basically, if it's something that's not in the game or something that you would like to work differently than it is in the game, then what you want to do is go into the forums and go to the wish list section, create a new thread. We'll search the threads first to see if somebody has already brought it up. Yeah. But then create a thread about that item, and you'll get input there.
Here's a nice simple example: is someone asked, "Can we have a corgi in the game?" That's a great wish list item. Pretty simple.
Yes.
Doable in the sense that it's not like a 7-stage masterpiece of cross-system interaction. So it's doable, and so then we'll talk about it, and we'll see if we can sort of get something like that on the list. Do we have the people and tech already to handle it? Of course, that'll always make it easier.
Right. Exactly. So bug reports definitely should be in the bug forums. Wish list items should go to the wish list. Ask a Dev is more like, hey, and this is one that came up today. I'm probably going to get nasty looks from some of the devs here for bringing this up, because this is still under discussion internally. So I'm not going to answer it, but I want to note that we are talking about it. It was brought up in an Ask a Dev, as well as a forum post earlier, about the cost of unlocking a skill. And I'm not even going to go into the question, because this is seriously under discussion right now as to what won't, what to do about it, or if it's the way we're going to leave it, or what. But that is a perfect Ask a Dev, because it's like, hey, is this intended? So a lot of the min-max type of questions, or things like, hey, this looks wrong in the UI. Is this a typo, or was this intended to be this way? Things like that. Those are good Ask a Devs. And as I said, if it's something that players have asked in the past, or some of the more experienced veteran players are around, they may be able to jump in on Universal and say, "Oh yeah, no, we asked about this. This is what's going on. This will change, or it won't change, or there's a JIRA for it, or whatever." So it's an extension of the players helping players, and then the players helping us as well. So that takes care of an Ask a Dev and an explanation of Ask a Dev.
And if I can jump in and say, first of all, thank you to my new friends Dakiras, as well as Kendra Sadler. Good to meet you both. And by the way, also the rate of trades is dropping off a little bit here. So everybody please check. I had a couple of error things pop up on my screen. So just make sure you did receive it. If you did not receive the Lord British 62 shield, feel free to request again, and we'll straighten that up. But Dakeras, I give you yours. There you go. And also Acorn Bubble Boots. Acorn Bubble Boots. What a fun little name. Fun long name, Acorn Bubble Boots. But there also is yours, Gwendolyn Obscuro. There is your Lord British 62 shield. But let me get these last few shields out, and then I'd be happy to dive into some stories. I do think it'll be hard for me to tell the story. The story I intend to tell. Both stories I have here to tell today are rather serious, so I would rather not be in the middle of handing out a bunch of trades in order to do it. So I'll wait till people are more or less satiated with shields, and then I'll go on to a little bit of storytelling.
All right, that sounds good.
You can get a ton of those shields, and then I'll move off a little bit to one side, and I can continue. Or is the part of the magic getting it from Lord British himself?
Could be both, but what I'll do is let me just wait till the flow rate slows down, and then do you have them, or I can hand you a stack if you trade with me also.
Yeah, I'm right next to you, and I will do that. You just have to give me one.
I see. Yeah, hang on a second here. Let me trade with you.
In that case, we're definitely going to be checking the longs to make sure no one got a duplicate.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. Right.
There you go.
Yep. But we do this during parties as well. Like when we have the Bug Brigade anniversary party, things like that.
And so now, by the way, I'm sure any of you that are playing in game can see Senyo standing right here next to me, and he can continue to hand out any of those if any of you haven't received them, or you can wait till the break in the storytelling. But I'm going to go on into storytelling here, if I may. So sorry, Isabel Marigold, but if you'll. Pardon me for just a minute. You can come back to me in a little bit after I finish this little story, or grab one from Senyo, who will have them for you too. Okay, so Stephen and I were talking ahead of this stream as to which, if either or both of these stories, we thought would be appropriate to tell. I'm happy to talk about both of them. One I already alluded to, but the other one is something you may have heard about in the news. A lot of you may know that in addition to me spending my kind of work creative time making video games for the last 40 or 50 years, as a personal passion, I also am a bit of an explorer. And I could argue more than just a little bit of an explorer. I happen to be the only person so far who has explored the Earth from the North Pole to the South Pole, orbited above the Earth in space, and dove down to the deepest point in the oceans, the bottom of the Mariana Trench. And I currently have a highly paid volunteer job where I'm the current president of the Explorers Club, which is headquartered up in New York City. And some of you may have heard the other day that there was a group of explorers that were headed down to the Titanic in a submarine referred to as the Titan. And unfortunately, the Titan didn't make it down to the Titanic. The Titan imploded and killed all 5 explorers that were on board, including 2 members of the Explorers Club, one of whom was a close personal friend. And the reason to mention this story is not only just because it's a sad tale that happened to involve friends of mine recently, but also I was involved in at least the significant attempt to rescue them. When Hamish Harding was the close friend of mine who was on the submarine, and when we heard that the submarine that Hamish, who was with a group of us that were leaders of the Explorers Club, we were all together in the Azores having a global exploration summit. He left the night before the rest of us in order to go to make that submarine trip. So we were all kind of wishing him, sending him good wishes as he departed. And then the rest of us left the next morning to fly to our homes, which is the morning he left to go dive down to the Titanic. And unfortunately, when I landed in New York was when I first heard that their submarine had gone missing. But because it's an interesting tale that I know many of you who have watched it on the news know how much effort was put into trying to rescue them. Because so many of my friends had friends on that sub, we of course were also working tirelessly to try to find any hope or provide any hope of rescue had they managed to be surviving, for example, on the bottom in a sub that might have been disabled but still whole. So for about 5 days, as you guys probably heard, there were ships brought out from France and England and Canada and the United States. We actually worked with everybody from Woods Hole to the Coast Guard to Navy and the Air Force to try to bring out a particular kind of equipment. We had seen that what was coming were rovers, submersibles, remotely operated vehicles that had cameras on them but no claws, and they were bringing out a Navy system called FADOS, which had basically a skill crane on a long chain that could go down and try to pick something up off the bottom. But we were concerned that the skill crane would crush the sub because we knew that was one of the weak points of this sub, or we felt that was one of the weak points, and so we were pushing to get this different kind of system called a working class ROV rated to at least 4,000 meters, brought down to that depth, and or brought out to that site. And ultimately we did convince the Coast Guard and others that that's the system they needed out there, and it was in process of being brought out. But that's when one of the inspection class ROVs, which does not have a manipulated arm, did finally manage to get down to that depth, only right at the very end of the potential survival time of air on board. And they found the vehicle debris down there showing that it had imploded probably on its initial descent. In fact, they eventually said publicly, but I had actually heard the day of that the United States seismic network had picked up an implosion event at the time and place of the submarine going down. But because that had never been made public through that 5-day period, we were assuming that it must not have been incontrovertible as to what that had happened. And so since it was not conclusive in our mind what had occurred, we felt it was very important to keep the eye on a rescue attempt, which in the end, of course, unfortunately, has turned out not to be the case, and plenty of people's misgivings about that particular submersible have now been stated. I've even gone on the record saying I knew of this submersible. I'd been invited to participate in the submersible, and I had opted out of participating with the submersible due to concerns that both my professional submersible builder and operator friends advised me, and also some direct experience I had with some of the team. And so I'm sure that there will now be plenty of other activity, from lawsuits to legal legislation put in place or attempted to be put in place to try to make deep submersible travel safer. Prior to this incident, there had never been a fatality in any deep submersible. There still has never been a fatality in any deep commercially rated or submersible. Most every submersible other than this one has been registered and insured. This one was not. And so that might be one thing that changes in the litigation, is that if you're going to take commercial clients down with you on a submarine, you need to be have a rating and insurance, that implies that someone has reviewed your engineering and forced you to go through periodic inspections to ensure that you meet the same safety standards that the rest of the industry does. So in any case, that's one little story that kept me busy for about a week. We were up me and quite a few others were up 24/7 for about a week during this process, in what we hoped would be a rescue attempt. In the end, it ended up not being not being possible, of course, since it appears the submarine was destroyed early in the mission. But anyway, there's a story for you.
Yeah.
We're gonna later this year for our fellow explorers. We're going to do some events at the Explorers Club and celebrate their life and participation in exploration. Hamish, the friend of mine that I was mentioning, was not only an incredibly seasoned explorer, but also one that was contributing greatly to the field of exploration. As an example, this last November, he was pivotal in his business was chartering commercial jets, and he heard that one of our other explorer members, a woman by the name of Dr. Lori Marker, had been raising cheetahs to re-release cheetahs into India, where they were hunted into extinction 75 years ago, and to transport 8 predators, 8 big cats from Namibia, a remote desert location in Namibia, to a remote desert location in India, was beyond Lori Marker's capability to pull off. And so Hamish stepped up and arranged to have a 747 where they ripped out all the seats in a 747. They brought on spare tires and spare engine parts and an entire engineering team into that 747. They flew it to Namibia. They picked up not only the cheetahs and crates, but all their veterinary staff and handlers. They flew them again to this very remote spot in India and released them with Prime Minister Modi, to where now there are cheetahs again in India, where, as I'd mentioned, they were hunted to extinction 75 years ago. So that's the kind of work this guy does. He's been a great contributor to both exploration and conservation around the planet. So he'll be sorely missed. How's that for a story there, Stephen?
Yep, absolutely. Very good one. Of course, there's that second one that's very much close to home. I don't know if you want to dovetail right into that, but
yeah, I will. I'll get them both. I'll get them both off, just so we can get on to happier things like adventuring together, perhaps, or whatever we have next on our queue.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But yes,
I'm gonna go ahead and do the slideshow thing.
Sure, go right ahead.
Okay.
And, for those of you who didn't know, you're here, so you must know. But July 4th was my birthday. July 5th, my daughter was leaving town to head to France to catch up with my wife, who went there first, and my son Ronan and I will be going there here in a couple of days. We just had to stagger it out, do some stuff we needed done here in Austin, and tragically, as you can see there on screen, a fire caught in my boat dock, and there's a little building you might be able to see there right in the center front of my boat docks that my neighbor, who saw this first, when he came out here to rescue my dog that was in the cabin here, saw that little storage building had fire shooting out of the top of it. No fire anywhere else in it, so we know it started in that little building, but we really have no idea what in that little building set it off. But and that's just the pictures you see there are just 10 feet through the back wall behind me. So we're very lucky that it didn't burn down the cabin. Very lucky it didn't kill my dog. Very lucky it didn't kill us. But don't really know what caused it. But sadly, that's going to be a big mess for me to deal with over the next, I don't know how long. It'll be a while. But Quasar, thank you for the friend request. Well, there you go. Those are my 2 stories.
Yep. And chemical reaction is one of the possibilities.
Yeah, we had a breaker that was giving us some trouble in there. That we at least is suspicious. The breaker box actually had flame damage around it. It makes that a suspicious outlier. But then in that, because those storage boxes were on top of a boat dock, we always had water, moisture, intrusion issues. Things were molding in them. And so we lined all those lockers with white plastic PVC material to kind of keep out the moisture. But I'm sure once fire started, that also was an accelerant, and is part of the reason why, even though the response of neighbors and fire and myself was very fast, it was still a mighty blaze, sadly.
Yep. So, with that said, like you said, you can get on to another happier thing. we do actually have some stuff where we could acknowledge some people and some stuff that's going on in the game.
We do indeed.
Yes. So the very first one we want to talk about is the monthly fishing contests are actually now run by one of our players, and I think Diablo Teen is in the audience here someplace. Now I should bring up the screen at this point.
Yes, Diablotine, are you nearby? Can you come join us up front here?
He's not able to join the stream. I did invite him in.